Good morning again, folks. I just want to give you an update on the problems with my cell phone. Samsung sent me a notice saying that the replacement for my phone, which would have been the third phone, was authorized and I needed to contact T-Mobile. T-Mobile required me to go see their technician. I went in to see the technician. The technician was helpful and resolved my understanding of some of the issues. However, when it comes to the main issue, that means unresolved. So I can't, and so T-Mobile refused, or declined, I guess I should say, just out of politeness, to replace the phone according to the directives of Samsung. T-Mobile is saying that there's some bugs in the system, and Samsung needs to work those out, and until Samsung takes care of the bugs, there's no sense in them replacing the phone. Well, I think I got a second bad phone, and I think they ought to just replace this thing and be done with it. I cannot recommend T-Mobile, nor can I recommend the S22 Galaxy, the Ultra. Certainly not the 512 megabyte ones that I seem to be going through, and other people are having problem with the S22 Ultra as well. I think Samsung needs to fix this problem. I think they need to work with T-Mobile. I tell T-Mobile, I tell Samsung as much as I can, and they accept that the problem's there. I get that alert. It says there's an object present in the port or water detected. There's no water. There's nothing in the port except the USB-C plug that I've just inserted into it. And it might repeat that 3 times in a row, and then maybe fourth time it will relent and it will allow me to connect up without that message. So I think it's either a firmware problem, could be a hardware problem, or a software problem where some software wants to launch itself at the beginning there and somehow it skews things and it gets this error message going where the phone just sets an alarm and really noisy, really annoying, and you have to unplug and you have to touch that symbol on the screen to shut the damn thing off, to shut that alarm off. So some of you said I don't understand my phone. Well, that's true. I don't understand this phone that well. Some of you say I don't understand the cell phone service well. That's true as well. Some of you say I don't understand Google well. No, I do understand Google. I think Google is evil. I think the only thing more evil than Google is Apple. I think these are horrible corporations. They spy on us all the time. They sell our data all the time. They violate our privacy all the time. I think that somehow there should be protections under the Constitution against their intrusions. I don't think that these organizations and companies should be allowed to collect such data. I think they need to be more obvious, and the systems of remedy and relief need to be more obvious as well. So a lot of these companies, it's hard to opt out once you opt in. I mean, there's some weird catch-alls in it. I like this one gentleman, his name is Braxman, who talks about privacy. I think he's a brilliant guy. So he talks about a de-Google-fied phone. Of course, with the services that I want on this phone, YouTube in particular, I can't de-Google-fy. I want to be able to have some help with maps on occasion too. So I'm asking the phone, and I'm doing too much. I refuse to. The phone came with Facebook. I refuse to use Facebook on a cell phone because you have to give them permission to spy on all kinds of shit on you, access to everything. Fuck that, man. Facebook is a government program. That's why they won't do anything but talk about, fencing it in. They're never going to consecrate Facebook at all because they're working for the government. The government's not to be trusted. This is not America, folks. This is one of 4 different corporations, variants on the United States of America, which are in a giant shell game to defraud us. That's exactly what's going on. That's the simplest way to put it. There's 4 corporations, so I've been told, and so it It appears that under which they're committing a bunch of frauds, giant shell game. Some of our founding fathers made some really terrible mistakes, which I don't know if they did that on purpose or not. Ben Franklin made a mistake. George Washington made a mistake. Thomas Jefferson made a mistake. They made serious mistakes. They also gave us serious warnings. So George Washington warned us against the party system, and I haven't figured out an alternative to it. But we need to take down this party system completely. I don't like the Republican Party at all. I think the Democrat Party should be made illegal. You know, they shouldn't be allowed to vote anymore. The vote should be taken away from them. But I think we don't just jail Democrats. We jail those Republicans too, those traitors and treasonous bastards and the communists. The most important thing isn't that war in the Ukraine. Vladimir Putin may not be that nice of a guy, and he may have done some horrible things to get into power, but our guys over here do worse. They do worse over here. You understand that? They're worse than he is. And Vladimir may be a member of secret societies as well, but the secret societies finally targeted his ass, and he knows it. And in case you're wondering, Biden, be careful what you wish for. You want regime change. You dumbasses in Washington, D.C. want Putin removed. Guess what? The guys that are going to be taking his place, the man that takes his place is going to be 10 times worse. The Russian people view this properly, rightfully, as an existential threat. And you bastards in D.C. have done this. It's all on you. And you got the highest paid actor in history pretending he's president of a country, our puppet, put in by Barack Hussein Obama and John Brennan, CIA dope agent. Folks, you need to realize we've been had. You need to realize that we owe it to the rest of the world to straighten up our own problem. It's our problem, and we owe it to the rest of the planet to straighten it up and to leave their asses alone. The Russian ruble is strong. We've been suppressing it for quite a while. They're repressed peoples because of us. They've never gotten fair prices for their products. They've never been treated properly on the open markets. And you think you can steal and get away with it? That might makes right? So you think you can steal private property from the Russians, the Russian oligarchs, and that's not going to have an impact around the world? Well, I'll tell you what it does. It undermines the world reserve currency status that the dollar's been enjoying for way too long. If you're not going to abide by the rule of law, if you're not going to back the rule of law, if you're just going to be a tyrant and a bully, and that's what we have out of D.C., it's a tyrannical government, then you don't deserve to be in office. You don't deserve to have any power, any standing on the whole planet. The earth groans for her saviors. So back to Samsung. Samsung says, I got a bad phone, needs to be replaced. T-Mobile's on the line for it because they got me paying. I'm on the line for $1,500 after taxes and all that stuff to get the charger and to get a case and to get screensavers. I'm into it for way over $1,500. Add in the Bluetooth headset I was forced to buy because this smartphone hasn't got a physical headset input, and I'm into it for about around $2,000 or more. So, and I'm not getting my service. I've had bad service since November. They said one guy told me he assured me it was my cell phone. Well, I still got bad service, and it's because of the cell phone. And I got bad technical support too. And the girls over there, they tell me, oh, I'm not going to charge you the $5 for whatever filing the insurance claim on the cell phone. like she's doing me a favor. Well, she's just not charging it to me right then and there up front. I mean, English is a second language for her, and I think they ought to have English-speaking people doing that. I actually don't want foreigners calling, as sweet as they are, as feminine as they are, as cute as they are, as precious as they are. I'm sorry. That should be taxed. There should be tariffs and duties placed upon all goods and services, including labor, crossing our boundaries, even electronic services. So I think that there should be a value declared by T-Mobile on each one of those supports given out of the Philippines, and they should be paying 30% into the United States Treasury for the privilege of invading our territory momentarily with a good or with a service. And it needs to be universal, no most favored nation trading status. When you do that, you're choosing sides and you're causing problems, and those lead to war. So it needs to be blanket 30% across the board, including for China, including for Russia, for everybody. And you say, well, I want free trade. It ain't free. Look at this country today. Most of you weren't alive to see the good days, the golden days. I grew up at the tail end of it. I got to see it at its best. It wasn't too bad of a country then. Our leadership was still screwed. The big guys around the world were still doing bad stuff because the bankers were controlling them. Oh, and your president isn't the guy running the country. The guy running the country is the head of the Federal Reserve. The problem is he's doing this tyrannical stuff across the whole planet, and we're letting him do that from our nation. I mean, it was like the Bolshevik Revolution. That came out of New York, out of Manhattan. And we allowed them to do that. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. That is definitely a violation. And we're responsible for what they did. We're responsible for the murder of the Tsar and his family. And why did they do it? They did it to get back at the Tsar because his father or grandfather and grandfathers had backed America. And if they hadn't backed America, we wouldn't be a nation today. So, boys and girls, you owe your very existence as a nation to Russia, the Tsars and Russia, to the original Russian people. And you need to pay that debt back. So you need to get off their asses and figure out what's really happening over there. Putin will only bring that to the World Court when we demand it, when we ask for it. We need to demand it. We need to ask for it. We need to beg them, please show us what you have there. Show us the evidence. Show us those bio labs, the stuff that's deep underground. Show us what troops are over there. Show us the evidence you have that they're working on bioweapons that could destroy all of us. I think that's what they're doing. I think that's what Putin's against. So is Putin a bad boy? Is he a bad guy? Not in this sense. As a matter of fact, 85% of Russians are backing a harder take. Putin's taking a slow, measured take. And I appreciate it. And I hope the Russian people appreciate it, because as we send over those weapons slowly, they're being destroyed slowly. And they can play that game and destroy a lot of those weapons, because that's what needs to happen, is that NATO needs to be worn down, because NATO's in there fighting and they shouldn't be there fighting. The United States is in there fighting and we shouldn't be fighting. We've got Russia circled. Imagine they built a country so close to all of our bases. We are not the good guys. We ceased being the good guys a long time ago. Nothing good can happen inside this country. Nothing. You won't stand up and exercise the rights that you've been denied. There should have been marches on the capitals of these states. Should have happened in Wisconsin. Should have happened in Pennsylvania. Should have happened in Arizona. Should still happen. Need to shut down these governors and governments and take these governors out of office. That's Georgia. Take these guys out of office that wittingly, knowingly certified and signed off on what was a fraudulent, taking Biden at his words, they built the biggest voter fraud machine ever in history. That's what Biden says. Listen to the man. He tells you about himself. He tells you how he got there. Good day.